I'm not sure that I'm getting it through to the Zoom. Oh yeah, no. Best one too.
Yeah, but girls usually will spoil the boys. I know sisters that have a younger boy. They'll be like,
Honey, don't you just click on that thing up there?
Mhm. Separate. Did they tell you to put oil or something on it?
Indivisible.
Yes, sorry. Here.
Here.
Here. Okay, thank you. We'll now approve the meeting agenda. I do have one addition, which will be listed under number 10. We are accepting a letter of resignation from Andrew Taylor from the Gerrish Township Police Department. So if you would add that, and then rest of the board, will you take a look at the agenda to see if there's anything else that needs addition or correction? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee.
I'll
Osling. And seconded by treasurer Anderson. Any further discussion, board? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same, motion carries. I would also now take a motion to approve the consent agenda as it is presented.
So moved.
So moved by treasurer Anderson,
I'll support that.
supported by trustee Hoppy. Any further discussion, board? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion carries. And we're into the elected officials report. I would entertain a motion to that we accept the elected officials reports and get them placed on file. And for the audience, there's several copies back there of those reports referred to. I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
So moved by treasurer Anderson,
Second.
seconded by trustee Osling. And any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you. We're now at the first opportunity for public comments. Public comments here will be taken on the action items as listed in your agenda this evening in the first round of comments before we get started on our agenda. I would also ask at this time that we try and respect the 1 time and for 3 minutes for your public comments. We have had several meetings now that we have had 3 hours long and lots longer than that. And to prevent platforms, we want to have our 3 minutes to be respected and to have that one time per what's posted and has been posted on the door. So at this time, I would take comments from anyone on any of 1 through 10 of the listed action items. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody, so we'll move on to our number 1. Tonight, we have the pleasure of having the ceremonial swearing in of Gerrish Township's newest officer, Rodney Most. And I would turn the floor over to Chief Mashinsky so that he can conduct that for us. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd just like to say a few words. First of all, I'd like to welcome Rodney to the police department. He's only been with us for a couple weeks, but doing a great job. Have nothing but great things to say about him, and I think he's going to have a great future with us. And really looking forward to him being on the team. So I provided Michelle with the formal swearing in paperwork, so we can go ahead and do that now.
Rodney, if you'd
Come on
like to
over,
go
buddy.
up over here in front of the flags there, the clerk squire will administer your oath of office. I'll get my ugly mug out of here. Family, I want you to know this is free text with your camera. You may come up to the camera. You may take what you need.
Come on up if you want,
Absolutely.
whatever, come get
You got
close.
cameras.
You taking pictures? Come on.
Please do.
All right, well, we have a resort here too. All
The
right,
floor is yours.
buddy, you're gonna have you raise your right hand. And I want you to repeat after me. I, Rodney Lynn Most II,
I, Rodney Moss II,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of a police officer
in and for the Township of Gerrish,
in and for the Township of Gerrish,
County of Roscommon,
County of Roscommon,
State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You're official.
Rodney, you don't get off that easy. If
No.
you want to step up here, family, if you want to get some photos with moms, dad, people came
Yes.
for him. The success of any good police officer is a supportive family. Hold on for a minute. Get it on. Flop up in there. There you go.
Congratulations.
And all.
Rodney, congratulations.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
You gotta tell the story, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I do.
And we thank you
Thank you.
for letting us have him. We'll take good care.
And for the family, yeah, you are not gonna offend us a bit. I always offer that jettison point and you won't. Thank you much for coming and supporting. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chief Mashinsky. The second item on the agenda does require a motion item, and we have a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Alex Cole from the Gerrish Township Police Department with best wishes in his future endeavors. So I would entertain a motion at this time to accept that letter. Moved by Treasurer Anderson.
I'll support.
Support by Trustee Hoppy. Any further discussion, folks? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion carries. Number 3, in accordance with the vacancy, we need a motion to authorize Chief Mashinsky to begin a search to replace or fill the vacant full-time police officer position immediately. Anybody make that motion?
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion by Jim. Support Michelle.
Yes.
Supported by Michelle. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. That motion carries. The next motion on the agenda, before we have it, quickly, Jim, Chief Fisher, would you like to say a few little moments of preamble to this? For those that might not have been at the work session and before we make an approval recommendation here. Kristen, thank you for coming forward.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
speak loud. Thanks.
I'd like to introduce, if you don't know her already, Assistant Chief Christy Gilliam, who hopefully tonight will be appointed as Chief of the Fire and EMS Department on March 1st after I retire. Christy's been here how many years? 18 years. She's a medic firefighter and has been Assistant Chief for the last 6 years as well. And she interviewed a couple weeks ago, and the interview committee selected her as a candidate to replace me. So we congratulate Christy hopefully here in a few minutes. And so welcome her aboard.
And Chief, it's my understanding that you're going to be planning some kind of the ceremonial for April?
Yeah, I know March will be a busy meeting time for you guys with everything. So in April, we'd like to do a formal ceremony for Christy at that time.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we would appreciate that. We like those things and it's much to be proud of. And certainly her family should be proud as well.
Yep.
So
Thanks.
very well.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. All right.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I would entertain a motion to approve a recommendation by Chief Jim Fisher to appoint Christy Gilliam to the position of Gerrish Township Fire and EMS Chief effective March 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Moved by Treasurer Anderson,
I'll support that.
supported by Trustee Hoppy. Any further discussion, board?
Welcome.
Not hearing any.
Thank
All those
you.
in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same. Motion carries. Very good. No small feat, folks. That it was quite an interview process and presentation process, and we were fortunate enough and thankful to Jim Fisher as well to be able to afford us the opportunity of a couple inside candidates to be able to leave as a succession piece. So we thank Jim for that, and we thank Christy and Brandon Rogers, the two candidates. So thank you. We are now moving on to, of course, we just made the promotion piece. So number 5, I need a motion to authorize Chief Fisher to begin the search to replace or fill the firefighter medic full-time position being vacated by the promotion of Christy Gilliam.
So moved.
Moved by Treasurer Anderson, supported by Trustee Osling. Any further discussion, folks? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Oppose the same. That motion carries. We are on to number 6, the Gerrish Township Parks and Recreation Plan Committee guidelines. I made the suggested changes for the board for the Gerrish Township Parks and Recreation Guidelines. And I would ask now for a motion to approve those Gerrish Township Parks and Recreation Guidelines for the committee as presented, so that we can move forward on that to get our Parks and Rec Committee basically designed with the number of 7, if you will, rather than the 9 that it became somehow. And so we need to get this adjusted. So would entertain a motion, folks, to approve that Parks and Rec guideline for the committee as presented.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Clerk Squires.
I'll support.
Ordered by trustee Hoppy. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose the same. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 7. Number 7 on the agenda is the 25-26 proposed budget. And the budget summary was put out there from the board's work, which began back in December, shortly after the new board contributions came. And we were able to put together our proposed budget to satisfy what we need to have it available to the public for 30 days in advance. And so I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed 25-26 Gerrish Township General Fund budget as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Treasurer Anderson. Support by Trustee Osling. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I want to thank you all for the work that we collaboratively put in on this. And I think we have a very workable budget moving forward. Thank you. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, along with that comes, yeah. Mhm.
Is available for 30 days out for the actual annual meeting. It will be available. Anybody who wants to come in and spend some time with it. Going through, it's here at the township available.
I believe you're gonna have a book. Did you show them the book cover there? Certainly, and obviously, if you want more than that, you can that request. Okay, we're on to a group. There's 4 resolutions that are separate. It's procedural, so that once again, it abides by and the township statute. And then ultimately, once we do this, obviously at the annual meeting of electors, the actual supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustee wages would be there for a vote, either up or down in the proposed fashion that it is. So I will read. Are we ready? Michelle, are you ready to record the resolution numbers? You good? Okay, so resolution number 2025-02-11-25-02. This is the resolution Township Supervisor Annual Salary. Whereas MCL 4195 authorizes the Township Board of Gerrish Township to determine the salaries of the offices of supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustee for the fiscal year 2025-2026 by adopting a resolution for each office at least 30 days prior to the township annual meeting of electors. And whereas the township board deems that an adjustment in the salary of the office of supervisor, be it resolved that as of April 1, 2025, the salary of the office of supervisor should be as follows. Supervisor, $41,600 salary, not directly performing any assessing. $58,427.37 salary if properly certified as an assessor and directly performing assessing duties. So at this time, the foregoing resolution, I would entertain by a board member and a support.
So moved.
Okay, I'm sorry, who? Jim?
Yeah.
Jim, okay. Jim Anderson is and you'll support Michelle, thank you. And I would like a roll call, please.
Osling,
Yes.
You did it.
Yes.
It's an O thing. You did it.
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
I will abstain.
Clerk White,
Okay, the motion passes with four ayes, if you will, there, no nays and one abstention. We're on to the clerk resolution as 2025-02-11-25-03, the resolution township clerk annual salary. Whereas MCL 4195 authorized the township board of Gerrish Township to determine the salaries of the office of supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustee for the fiscal year 2025-2026 by adopting a resolution for each office at least 30 days prior to the township annual meeting of electors. And whereas the township board deems an increase in the salary of the officer clerk is warranted now, be it resolved that as of April 1, 2025, the salary of the officer clerk shall be as follows. Clerk, $49,972 salary. The foregoing resolution, I would entertain a board member to offer that.
I'll make that motion. Motion.
Trustee, excuse me,
Hoppy.
I did it too.
A second.
Supported by Treasurer Anderson. And a roll call, please.
Osling,
Yes.
Yes.
Supervisor Hill,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Treasurer Anderson,
Treasurer
yes. Yes.
and
Clerk.
then abstain.
You're going to abstain? Okay. I show this as a vote of 4 in a yes and no nays and 1 abstention, and the motion passes. Thank you. The next resolution is 2025-02-11-25-04. Resolution to Township Treasurer for annual salary. Whereas MCL 4195 authorizes the Township Board of Gerrish Township to determine salaries for the offices of supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustees for the fiscal year of 2025 and 2026 by adopting a resolution for each office at least 30 days prior to the township annual meeting of the electors. And whereas the Township Board deems an increase in the salary of the office of treasurer is warranted now, be it resolved that as of April 1, 2025, the salary of the office of treasurer shall be as follows. Treasurer, $48,568 salary. And I would entertain a motion for the foregoing resolution by a board member.
I'll make that motion.
And support.
I'll support that.
Okay, thank you. And roll call, please.
Trustee Osling,
Yes.
Trustee Hoppy,
Yes.
Supervisor Hill,
Yes.
Myers, yes. Treasurer Anderson,
I'll abstain.
Okay, thank you. Again, the total would be 4 yeses, no nays, and 1 abstention. I declare that the resolution is adopted. The next resolution will be for trustees plural. So it is resolution number 2025-02-11-25-05, resolution township trustee annual salary. Whereas MCL 4195 authorized the Township Board of Gerrish Township to determine the salaries for the offices of supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustee for fiscal year 2025-2026 by adopting a resolution for each office at least 30 days prior to the township annual meeting of electors. And whereas the Township Board deems that an adjustment in the salary of the office of trustee is warranted, be it resolved that as of April 1, 2025, the salary of the office of trustee shall be trustees plural for each $8,569.50 salaried. And I would entertain a motion for the foregoing resolution and offered by a board member. Moved by Clerk Squires,
Second.
supported by Treasurer Anderson. And roll call, please.
President Hill,
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
Trustee Aki,
Yes.
Clerk Squires, yes, Trustee Osling,
I'll abstain.
And so the record will reflect that we have 4 recorded yeses, no nays, and 1 abstention, and the resolution is adopted. Thank you. And thank you all for the patience of listening to the litany of the same language and different whatever. We are on to number 9. Number 9 is another resolution that is required. It's called the General Township Annual Adoption of Poverty Exemption Income and Asset Test. It's to be done each year. So this is resolution number 2025-02-11-25-06. Annual Adoption of Poverty Exemption Income Guidelines and Asset Test. Whereas the homestead of persons who, in the judgment of the Board of Review of Gerrish Township, by reasons of poverty, are unable to contribute to the public charges, is eligible for exemption in whole or in part from taxation under the General Property Tax Act. And whereas the Gerrish Township Board is required by Section 7U of the General Property Tax Act, Public Act 206 of 1893, MCL 211.7U, to adopt guidelines for poverty exemptions. Now, therefore, be it resolved, pursuant to MCL 211.7U, that Gerrish Township, Roscommon County adopts the following guidelines for the Board of Review to implement. The guidelines shall include, but not limited to, the specific income and asset levels of the claimant and all persons residing in the household, including any property tax credit returns filed in the current or immediately preceding year. The Gerrish Township Board has determined the current asset level test to be no more than $10,000. To be eligible, a person shall do all of the following on an annual basis. Number 1, be an owner of and occupy as a homestead the property for which an exemption is requested. Number 2, file a current Gerrish Township application for principal residence poverty exemption income and asset test application with the Board of Review, accompanied by federal and state income tax returns for all persons residing in the homestead, including any property tax credit returns filed in the immediately preceding year or in the current year. Number 3, produce a valid driver's license or other form of valid identification if requested. Number 4, produce a deed, land contract, or other evidence of ownership of the property for which an exemption is required if requested. Number 5, meet the current year poverty income guidelines as defined and determined annually by the United States Office of Management and Budget. Number 6, complete and submit the Gerrish Township application for principal residence poverty exemption income and asset test application after January 1, but prior to the last day of the Board of Review. Number 7, meet additional eligibility requirements as determined by the Gerrish Township Board, including those listed in the application. Be it also resolved that the Board of Review shall follow the above stated policy and federal guidelines in granting or denying an exemption. So I would entertain something from a board member for approving the foregoing resolution.
So moved.
Moved by Treasurer Anderson. Support. Clerk Squires. Any further discussion at all on that before I do a roll call? Roll call vote.
President Hill,
Yes.
Trustee Aki,
Yes.
Trustee Osling,
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
Clerk Squires, yes.
And with that, I declare the resolution has been adopted accordingly. Clerk Squires, you have the original document. You are required to, at that point, as the clerk. So you have your authorization to do so accordingly. Number 10 actually came in Monday morning. Wasn't long ago.
Right?
It was Tuesday. Everything's an ever-changing environment in our public safety pieces here with recruiting retention. So number 10, I would entertain the motion to accept a letter of resignation from Andrew Taylor from Gerrish Township Police Department.
So moved.
Moved by Treasurer Anderson. Supported by Trustee Osling. Any further discussion, folks? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed the same, motion carries. I trust that probably next month we'll probably see a request to, folks, these are not, these are no brand new positions. These are still trying to staff a police department in a challenging time of recruiting and retention that we're in, not only in our country, but in the state and in every agency. I think the chief will back me up when I say that everybody's stealing from everybody else. So it's a very highly competitive market. And if you find yourself a little short in some of the areas, then there's not much loyalty. It just kind of goes that way. So thank you. Good luck, obviously, to young Andrew as well. And good luck to the police department as you continue to work in this difficult environment. Same thing for the fire. Yes.
Do we want to make a motion to?
He hasn't given me anything to that effect. Would you want to, no, I don't really want to because we've already done the agenda. I don't think you can only train so many at once, folks. And so, it's just maybe the cart before the horse. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we're good. That completes the agenda tonight. We are on to the second comment section, which does not have to be restrained by the confines of the action items here presented tonight and acted upon. We are open for comments. We are, as I said, we'll hear one comment from whatever people. You can't have two bites of the apple. And we're going to do that for the 3 minutes as listed out here. So if one of my board members have a 3-minute, something you can do for me, that you can you do that once?
Ready whenever
Well, don't do it now. Nobody's up here yet. Is there a public comment out in the office, out in the audience tonight? Approach the bench. Oh, thanks, Jim.
I can't guarantee it'll be 3 minutes.
Spirited on, 3 minutes. I know. Yeah, I know you will. I know you will.
So I want to thank the board for appointing Chief Gilliam as the new fire chief. I have all the confidence. Let me start again. I'd like to thank the board for appointing Chief Gilliam as the new fire and EMS chief. I have all the confidence in the world that she's going to continue with a great job there. I also want to thank the board for supporting me during the past 6 years as chief. I've been involved in fire and EMS service here for about 40 years. A good portion of that time, I've been an officer or in a leadership role on the department, and I've been very exposed to township operations, especially most recently as chief. And I also have over 30 years experience in state government, the last 2.5 years in Lansing. So I've seen our community and citizens cycle through both times of prosperity and happiness and times of struggle and feeling distrust. I've also seen great leadership in my department, and I have seen poor leadership in my department that have led to both being progressive and being stagnant. I have seen the township boards come and go, good township boards come and go, and I have seen very dysfunctional township boards come and go, and those would leave me wondering at times where this township was really going. So where are we now? So I'd like to talk a little bit about this board. Mary Jo. Don't look too scared. We've known each other for some years now. And I can remember back in the day when you were doing physical therapy and you worked the knots out of my shoulder so hard that I was bruised for days. Your hands are very strong and you knew just where to find those painful spots. Believe me, I remember that. Okay. What I appreciate most about you is your support and positive attitude as a township trustee and when you come into this building. And I know you have the best interest of this community in mind as you move forward. So I appreciate that. Michelle, I've seen you grow so much over the past couple of years here. Very few people really know what a township clerk does, and until they have tried to do it, they won't know. It is a difficult job if it's done right, and you're working hard to try to do that. You now have a strong board that can support you with good leadership and experience that'll help you continue to grow. So keep up the good work. Mr. Osling, this is not our first rodeo together. The last time you sat on the board, we dealt with a difficult leadership situation in the fire department, and you helped fix that. You have always had the best interests of the township and community in mind when you have stepped into these roles, and that goes way back in your family history. You have a ton of experience that you bring to this board, so keep pushing forward. Mr. Anderson, this is not the Matrix. We have known each other for a few years, but I've only really gotten to know you in the past 2 or 3 years through Rotary, pickleball, and working here. You bring so much experience in your role as treasurer, and we are very lucky to have you. I know you're not here for the paycheck, and you also only have the best interest of the township and community in mind. I have watched you over the past few months ask good questions and make good common sense decisions, and I expect that will continue.
Thank you.
Brian, we go back a long way as our kids grew up together in the community, and we've both been in service here for many years, probably 30, 40 years apiece. Your experience in local government, knowledge about the history of the township, and relationships you have already built here are assets for this board to tap. You bring great leadership skills to your role as supervisor, and I know you'll help this board and community move in the right direction. So you all have my trust to do the right things, to move the township forward and protect our community, and I believe in you. So what does the future hold? For me, I'm going to take a little time away. And then I'm going to decide if I want to come back as a volunteer firefighter to help run trucks and do the fun things and support Chief Gilliam in the department, or if I'm actually really going to retire. So we're going to sort that out. We'll know in April probably what I'm going to do. For the Fire and EMS department, I believe it's in good hands. Please note the name of the department as Fire and EMS, not just fire as many people seem to think we are. The majority of the incidents we run are EMS, and we provide exceptional advanced life support services. Chief Gilliam, Assistant Chief Rogers, and the leadership team are a strong group. The department members love to serve the community and help our citizens. I expect that will continue to move forward with the vision and goals of the department, and they will adjust them as needed to meet the ever-changing challenges of the service. Challenges today include keeping qualified folks, as you have mentioned, both in fire and EMS, and finding new folks to volunteer as paid-on-call members. Every similar agency is facing these same issues, and I urge community members that have an interest in serving to come on in, meet our fire and EMS members, and find out what it takes to become a volunteer firefighter and EMS provider. For the board and department officers, good communication is the key to maintaining our working relationship and supporting each other, as well as keeping our community informed. So I challenge you and the department leadership to reach out often, to share information, to discuss the topics of the day, and help seek grounded answers to new challenges. So once again, I thank you for allowing me the honor of being your fire EMS chief, for your support and friendship, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. You're extraordinary leader. Thank you. Everybody told me they could hear me out there. Thanks, Mary Ann. But anyways, you've been an extraordinary leader. We've been fortunate to have you and your 6 years that you were here in that leadership role. Again, it's very evident that you left quite a footprint. So thank you. Thank you. Public comment. Okay, not seeing any. Step right on up. Again, we'd like everybody to go for 3 minutes, and I know my fire chief just went longer, but I would say recognizing that long of service to our department was necessary.
Good evening, Paul Bertrand from Lyon Township. It's mostly informational. We all have opinions and we try and base our decisions on facts and keep the opinions out of it. Last couple of weeks, most of you are aware that I've been working on trying to find the feasibility of repurposing GLUA in order to perform some different tasks around the lake. In lieu of the fact that the step sewer possibilities seem to be pretty dim right now. I did manage to get answers from the EPA that it can be repurposed. And I just wanted to make sure that people understand we could repurpose it and retitle it to a completely different purpose, drinking water, stormwater management, and I quote, a number of other options. So it is possible to do this. We have $1 million sitting out there. I have an email that I got today about 2:00 from the EPA. I had asked what the situation might be if one of the townships dropped out of GLUA. And this is the reply he gave. And it's kind of telling because it's paving the way for us to repurpose GLUA. It says, good morning, Paul. I suggest GLUA reach out to the offices of the original sponsors of the project, Representative Bergman and Senator Peters, to see if they have opinions on how a reappropriation may proceed. I've worked with EPA congressional liaisons to update their offices on where things stand from the EPA's perspective and how changes to the project would work under the normal circumstances. Normal circumstances referring to what he already said could be done. As far as a scenario about what happens to one township, falls outside the norm of the program and might likely need some form of reappropriation or recertification. I'm going to leave a copy of that for all the board members here. There's a chain of emails that went with it.
Thank you.
Please consider that politicians like Peters and Bergman would likely be more happy to work with repurposing than to explain why they gave $1 million to an organization that disbanded. I'd like to ask you as a board to wait and give GLUA the same amount of time as you've given to hire for your Higgins Lake Health Committee, about 2 months. I believe we on the GLUA board are more than capable of rewriting the grant purpose and have GLUA work towards all the obvious points of nutrient introduction short of a sewer proposal. Road end improvements, storm drain grates, septic inspection ordinance, well water tests, green belts, fertilizer restrictions, all come to mind as simple fixes for obvious problems. I believe that at tomorrow's GLUA meeting, we will come together as 2 townships serving the needs of the lake and can quickly lay out the rewrite of the GLUA purpose from sewer to lake-wide water quality improvements. And of course, whatever we do, both townships have control of this. Whatever we do and we propose. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm almost done. So I believe it can be done and we can work the details out. This is not a matter of figuring it out first. We'll say yes and do it. But Higgins Lake community, both the townships, I think can pull together and make this happen. But thanks for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Paul, for your comment. We'll wait until you distribute what you. Very good. Come on up. Yep. Come on up.
Brett Swinehart from Gerrish Township. I guess until Paul spoke, I decided that I wasn't.
Could you speak up a little bit, please?
Yeah. Till Paul spoke, I decided I was not going to say anything, but since he did, I will. Let me start off by saying that from a scientific point of view, Higgins Lake is not a difficult lake to study compared to a lot of them. There's no big water flow coming in, no big water flow going out. It's this big spring. The source of water coming in is from the aquifers that surround the lake. There have been lots and lots of studies of the lake. Two peer-reviewed studies that stand out are the one that was done by Russ Minarek from USGS in 1995 to 1999. He studied the aquifers coming into the lake and found that, surprisingly, I guess you might say, that the more people that were concentrated around the lake, the lower the quality of the aquifer. And that's primarily because the liquids coming in from the septic systems. Then again, in 2014, another team studied, starting way back with Russ's work in 1995, all the way up to 2014. They also looked at the aquifers around the lake. Other things too, but primarily the aquifers. And again, they found that where the concentrations of people were highest, the quality of water in the aquifers were the lowest, except at Camp Cornelia, where a sewer system had been put in for some required reasons from the health department. The aquifers coming out from Camp Cornelia were very good. Well, my own feeling is that there's only one way to solve the problems at Higgins Lake for the environment, and that's to get control of the quality of the water in the aquifers. And from my point of view, if Camp Cornelia can make 1 mile of the lake surrounding look pretty good, Gerrish Township all by itself could make, I don't know, 20 miles of it look really good. And I guess from my point of view, I think we should stick with the known solutions and get on with it.
I'm sorry, you stick with what?
Stick with a known good solution and get on with it.
Okay, thank you.
So that's my opinion.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, not seeing anybody. We'll start on the trustee Yapi. Any final comments for yourself this evening?
Nope, nope,
Okay.
thank you.
Clerk Squires? Or announcements, by the way, if there's any. That's usually you.
We did receive word today that RAPS is going to file for, they filed for proposal language, so there will be a May 6th election for the school board millage.
Roscommon Area Public Schools is going to be seeking the village.
Yes.
Okay,
May 6th.
May
election.
6th, okay.
That's all I know right now, other than we don't have to do the 9 days of early voting because it is just a school and not a state or federal election.
Okay.
That's it.
Trustee Oswald?
I just wanted to remind everybody that at our work session last week, we talked about as of today or tomorrow, we've opened up the applications for members, people that are interested in participating in the steering committee for the Health of Higgins Lake project that we've initiated over here. There will be openings and placements for a steering committee, a 5-member steering committee. And there's identified about 10 subcommittees, and those include science, finance, communications and outreach, lake data, universal database and mapping, some new lake testing, well testing, and then a group to deal with things like road ends and fertilizer and septic ordinance and that sort of stuff. Those applications are available on the website, and there's position descriptions or job descriptions also in there, buried in there in the text of it. So I'd encourage anybody that has an interest in wanting to get involved in what the solutions are to the lake and where we might go from here. We're moving forward, and that's all there is to it. We're just going to keep going. We'll see what comes of tomorrow's meeting, but we're moving forward. I've got a lot of stuff started with the road commission and with septic ordinance, a lot of different things that I've got started, ready to hand off to some of these committees once they get filled out and get moving. So I think that's all I've got.
If you haven't paid your taxes, we're running a special this week. If you pay before Friday or by Friday, you don't get a 3% penalty. Elections are going pretty well. We've got the program pretty much figured out, and the receipting process. I think everything's working pretty well as far as for reporting purposes. We did get the budget done. I think there's been some questions or comments that were made regarding, some of the assumptions we use. There was a 4% assumption used across the board on all wages, and that is really to protect those wages against inflation, which is, if you look at the average for the last 3 to 4 years, has been somewhere between 3.5%, 4%. And matter of fact, when you calculated your property taxes this last year, the Headley Act used to 5.1%. So that's where we came up with that 4%. Just in case there's any questions, it wasn't anybody asking for a raise. It was just basically put us in protection for inflation. And if, like you said, the budget's there for anybody who wants to come and look at it. And if they have questions, Michelle can answer. If she can't or needs my help, I can assist in that as well.
Good. I have nothing further to say this evening. I have no announcements. So I would entertain a motion by a board member to adjourn the meeting at 7:50.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Osling.
I'll support.
Supported by clerk Squires. Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion carries. And thank you. And thank you all for joining us this evening there. Have a good night.